Good morning. I'm really hyper right now. It wasn't quite like that before. And you want to know why? Because I just spoke to our special guest speaker today. And quite frankly, as an energetic being, Ellie has filled me up and I'm really happy and chirpy right now. Yes, you are watching Range Woman, the variety show. This is a show that I have created really as I want it to be a masterpiece where I get to feature amazing women that are doing multiple things, that has transitions in life, that has stories to tell. And this idea really came from a lot of my clients come to me and they say, Lala, I can't do what you do. Like, you're just ridiculously crazy. I can't do that. I've got a life. Life is too busy. I haven't got time. And I really want to prove you all wrong. If you're sitting there thinking right now, there's no way that I could do what this Mad woman has just done, 30 days, 30 podcasts, you can. If my life before my 30 podcast was full and I could still create space, I believe every single one of us, if you so desire and if you really look deep into your passion, your purpose, and why you do what you do, we can all find time in doing what fills our tank up. And doing these podcasts has been filling my tank so much so, just like what I said, talking to Ellie has already filled up my tank. I'm ready for my morning. So Ellie, wow. Her full name is Ellie Bassick-Trovato. I hope I pronounced this correctly. And I met her through the Queens of Internet, which is a online summit with amazing women, hosted, run by the amazing Melanie and Leah. And ever since then, I've just been drawn to this woman with her calmness. But it was really interesting before she even come on, we had a conversation. I'm like, I've always just perceived you as this really calm person, Ellie. I never thought, every time you talk about you're excited, I'm just trying to imagine what calm plus excited look like. And today I get to experience what like excited really means for this amazing woman. It's like, it's excitement. But she just brings this calmness into people around her, which I truly admire, because if you know her story, which you will tell us soon, it's nothing but calmness. There's storms, there's ups and downs, but her incredible resilience, I think, is something that we could all take a piece away today, and particularly in December. I know it's a tough year. I know we're probably all over it, especially for those of you in construction. I know it's tough. In Australia, it's been a very, very tough year. And you're probably thinking, you know what? I'm over this shit. And I really want to say, I think today, and, you know, part of all this podcast that I've been doing, if you listen to all these amazing women, you'll understand that we all have that next little bit to give. And God, universe, whoever you call them, will never throw you a challenge that we cannot face. So without further ado, I would love to welcome Ellie Bassick-Trovato. Hello, Ellie. I love your excitement, by the way.
That was such a great introduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, you know I love to start my podcast with a bang. So I know you have spent a night with a certain celebrity.
It's true.
So tell us about that.
Well, I just first of all want to be clear that it wasn't a night as in a night of like peace. We're not talking about that kind of night. I actually, long story short, I went out one night. I had a babysitter all set up. This was when I was a fairly young widow. And I had a babysitter set up and I was supposed to have a date that night and it got canceled at the last minute. And I was like, I have a babysitter, I'm taking myself out. So I went into Boston, I went out to dinner, and then I was going to go home and I was like, no, I still have something in me. I want to have some fun. So I went to the Four Seasons Hotel, which is like a really nice hotel. And I was like, I'm just going to hang out in the bar and see what happens. So this guy ends up sitting next to me, and turns out he is the publicity guy for Pat Sajak, who does, what's it called? Wheel of Fortune, which you probably don't know anything about that show, but in the United States, it's like completely famous. So then all of a sudden Pat Sajak materializes the famous guy who like literally everybody knows. And he introduces himself to me and I was like, whoa, that was crazy. So that was fun. But then somebody else sits down and they have like a headphone and they've got the wire to the headphone. They put the headphone down on the bar and I can see that the wire is literally not connected to anything. And so I just kind of chuckled and he kind of looked at me and I was like, well, you're pretty sure the conversation's not going to be good tonight, because it seemed to me like he wants to be able to hide and have people not pay attention to him. Because why else would you bring a headset to a bar? It just doesn't make sense. And so he kind of laughed and we got talking. And as the conversation unfolded, I'm realizing that other people at the bar are looking at this guy and he's referring to like Bradley Cooper and being texted by Bradley and like other people. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I should clearly know who you are, and I don't. And he was as nice as he could be. He was very, very funny. He's a comedian. And he said, he was like, it's no big deal. I was just in a sleeper hit this summer. They didn't expect it to do as well as it did. And I was like, oh, what was the movie? And he said, The Hangover. Have you seen The Hangover? Do you know who's in The Hangover?
Yeah, I can't remember names though. I'm really bad with names.
I'm terrible too. I only remember this one because it's like, you know,
I have a couple of images in my head. I'm kind of like, oh, is it the normal looking guy or the poofy hair guy?
The poofy hair guy.
No!
His name was Zach Galifianakis. And right. We literally spent hours talking. And he walked me back to my mom's apartment where I was staying, and he came up to the apartment and we hung out and we talked there and we exchanged contact information. And he was like, you should come to my next filming. He was going to be filming with Robert Downey Jr. And I was like, I would love to. And then I later reached out to him and I never heard back. So I'm sure like I was just a little blip on his screen, but for me, it was like such a great example of how you can take lemons and make lemonade. Like it was very disappointing that my date got canceled at the last minute, but I ended up like, that would have been a date that I wouldn't remember to this day. But now it's a story that I have for the rest of my life. So it's a really great jumping off point to talk about resilience and how do we move with the flow of what life gives us and stay open energetically to like what the possibilities might be that might unfold.
That is so amazing. In a way, it's how magical is it that you get to turn a story like this into an inspirational story? And then it's like something everyone will remember. It's like, oh, and I love, there's a guy called Matthew Hussey. I don't know whether you know him. So he's a guy from the UK. He's quite big in the US as well now as a dating coach. So he originally started as a men's dating coach, and now he's actually very famous for a lot of women, and he becomes a female dating coach. And what he always says is like, dating is like, don't quote me directly, I think I might have my own translation on it. Dating is like buying properties, right? You may have to date 100 or 200 men in order to, so in property, you probably have to look at 100 to 200 in order to wanting to pay your deposit or go down to an auction route. And you may have to sort of apply for 4 or 5 in order to get to the one. So this is what he's saying is you may have to date 100 to 200 men and then going into a more serious relationship with 4 and 5 until you get to the one. So everything that doesn't work out, it's like the next one, the next one, the next one. And I think your story is in resilient. It's like, okay, the date didn't work out, but what's next? What can I do in order to create this next amazing memory? So I love that so much. But before we go any further, tell us a bit more about you, Ellie, because I know a lot of us that are in Melanie's world, we know about you. A lot of my connections now since COVID, you know, we all heard of you because of our in the circle of amazing women. But I don't think a lot of Australians, and particularly people on my social media, knows about how amazing you are. So just very briefly, tell us who is Ellie?
How amazing I am.
Yeah, bring it all.
Let's see, what can I tell you? I think of myself as a women's expansion coach, and I use that word very intentionally because to me, life is about how do we expand into bigger and braver and brighter versions of ourselves. And I feel like it all comes down to a choice between love.
Okay, I don't know what's happening here. We seem to have lost Ellie. Let's see. Ooh. Yeah, seems to have lost Ellie completely for those of you that are watching the podcast. The energy is so magnetic. We seem to have lost Ellie completely. Okay. Yeah, definitely has. That's okay. Let me just message her. I think Ellie might have lost her internet for some reason. Oh, God. So, a bit of a story about how I met Ellie for those of you who don't know. There's a mentor that we're both following. Her name is Melanie and Leah, and you will hear me mention a lot about her. She's a Canadian, and she started the Alpha Fame movement almost. So back in, I think it was May this year, in the middle of COVID, Melanie has started the summit called, what was it called again? Oh, actually, mind blank. I can't even remember what it was called. Anyway, she started a summit, and in that summit, it featured a lot of her long-term clients and her other clients. So there's about 15 of them. They all featured in that summit. Oh, here's Ellie. Let's see. Okay. She's coming along. And in there, I saw Ellie and I really heard her story. And for me, it's one of the most inspiring story. I really don't want to give it away, but it's one of the most inspiring story. And, you know, it's one of those stories where you go into life and you can either think that it sucks, right? Or that choice between, do I become a creator, or do I choose to become a creator, or do I choose to become a victim? And that was part of the reason that I really want to bring Ellie onto the show, is I fully understand that 2020 hasn't been the best year ever for a lot of us. But at the same time, 2020 has been the best year ever for many, many of us. 2020, I know, has been the best year ever for Ellie. It has been the best year ever for Melanie and Leah. It has been the best year ever for my coach and mentor, Jana Kingsford. And it has been the best year ever for me. So I know some people are looking and go, well, you guys are just exceptions. But I don't believe in exceptions. If it happens to a collective of us, a collection of us, a collective, it happens to the collectives, right? And I fully believe and embrace that it is all these trainings, all these life lessons that we are going through, and all the learnings that we're learning before COVID has hit, that has really given us the resilience and the strength to continue with our journey and to go, you know what? This year is going to make me, and that is my decision. Done. That's my decision. Done. And really, if I look at all the women that's been telling me that they had the best year ever, and it's only November. By the way, today's Thanksgiving in Australia. So I think, it's amazing time to go, I am so grateful because, and still to be able to find the grace and the ease and the gratitude in every difficult situation, right? And I really truly believe if I look at what's in common for all of these women, it's that they have worked on themselves. They worked shit hard on themselves before COVID, during COVID, even until now. And that's what I always say, working on ourselves is a constant devotion. It's a lifestyle. It's not a fat diet. It's not like, okay, I'm going to work on myself for 30 days and then I'm done. Every time you go up to the next level, you'll meet yourself there. Ellie's just sorting out her IT issue, but that's okay. We can have a chat in here. And I don't believe, and this is what a lot of I'm going to call them colleagues, my fellow coaches and mentors believe, that we don't believe that you all have to go through what we have been through. In fact, the reason that so many light workers and way showers are doing the work right now is because we don't want you to go through the same suffer that we go through. Athena, when I interviewed her, talked about the dark night of the soul. It doesn't all have to be doom and gloom. It doesn't have to be rock bottom. It might be that just pivotal moment that allows you to pivot. It's like the sliding door moment in life that just allows us to pivot. Right? It can be as simple as that. I'm just going to quickly check on Ellie because I think she's sending me a message right now. Okay. La la la. I love technology when it works. Hold on. That's interesting. Okay. Looks like I'm going to have to come back. Stand by for take 2 of this podcast. See you guys later.